My name is Sam, and I love to review and rank certain wrestlers. Hello and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling. I am your host Sam, and I am joined by Baby Sam. Don't do another Irish accent.
Not even a Northern Irish?
No, because he's not Northern Irish. Welcome to European Month. On the Power Rankings, we have already so far looked at this month The Bar, and we've looked at Wade Barrett, and this week we are looking at Finlay. But how does Power Rankings work? Here's how it works. We take 10 different wrestling categories and we give them a score out of 10. We then combine those scores together to give them an overall score out of 200 and see where they go on our leaderboard. We are looking at them at their best. And this is an overall type thing. But we're already going to put a caveat in with Finlay.
Okay.
We haven't really seen all of Finlay's work.
No.
Okay, I've seen a lot of WCW, which I might bring into this. You've seen, I think, none of his WCW.
I have seen his match with Regal that he had, where they beat the daylights out of each other.
Have you watched it though?
Not
it may be one
watched
of the most boring matches that's ever boring.
Yeah, but you only like it if you know wrestling and you know the story.
There's a lot of intimate snuggling on the canvas. They're very intimate.
Right.
Yes, it's very, very kind.
Well,
and yet Regal still breaks his nose. Only Regal could break his nose in a catch-as-catch-can wrestling style match. But before we get into the man who loves to fight and have a leprechaun follow him. So
who doesn't?
I don't know. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's find out where the man who loves to fight will land on our wrestling leaderboard. We start with wrestling ability. Now, before I think we get into the score, I think we have to talk about here that a man who trains other wrestlers pretty much exclusively trained all the females because they were the only one that they could almost trust. He can wrestle so well.
Oh, yeah.
But his better wrestling, I've tried to watch as many clips as genuinely years ago. Like British wrestling, if you watch him get to do is like they do rounds and all this stuff. Like he was in the ring with like when Big Daddy and all that stuff happened. That's how old Finlay's been going. So where have you gone for wrestling ability for Finlay?
I think for pure wrestling ability and technique and footwork and timing, it's 8 for me. I think just in terms of the basics and fundamentals of wrestling, he is pretty much flawless.
I've gone 7.
Okay.
Because I agree, but I went, hang on, do I put him into the upper of wrestling ability? And I went, do you know what? I can't, because quite frankly, I find all his matches quite boring.
Same.
And I know that's going to get into a little bit of our next category of storytelling, but quite frankly, a lot of his moves are a little bit boring. If you watch his older stuff and then watch his actually newer stuff is more innovative, like getting the ring apron involved. I say new, he was doing that in WCW, but getting his ring apron, I think it's really cool and stuff like that. But generally speaking, when you were younger, I was 2006, I was like 14, I never went, oh, yeah, Finlay match.
Yes. And you have to also think, do you remember a really good Finlay match?
No, like the Regal one at the Great American Bash, where it was Lashley meant to be involved, but he had raised enzymes along with a lot of other people who had raised enzymes out here. Great Carly. That match is actually really good. They really did just went, right, we've got to come up with a match on the fly. Let's just try and recreate what we did. I've forgotten what paper. I think it's Fall Brawl, or someone will correct it. Uncensored. Uncensored sounds good. We'll go with Uncensored 96, I think. Please correct me in the comments below. I'm not Googling it. But yeah, for me, I couldn't give him high for wrestling, even though I know purely he arguably might be one of the best technical wrestlers there is, because he trained everybody now.
Yeah, I think he's almost the wrestler's wrestler, isn't he?
He is the wrestler's wrestler.
When you know about the techniques, you only really understand how good he is. You have to be quite smart about wrestling to know.
And let's be honest, me and you don't. When it comes from the catch-as-catch-can and all that stuff, we don't come from that era. And even though ironically we both went to a drama school in Wigan, and that's where catch-as-catch-can comes from.
There you go.
It comes from Wigan. So maybe we did Wigan a disservice.
Don't think that's possible.
No.
Really.
Don't even do a good pie. Storytelling is what we move on to next. Sam, storytelling.
I've gone with a 7.
I've also gone 7.
Yeah, I don't think he's that entertaining in the ring, but there's always a fundamental story.
So even though I wouldn't say it's necessarily exciting, it's not my style of wrestling I enjoy, you can't tell me he wasn't doing stuff. He wasn't working a body part, or he wasn't trying to hurt you, or wasn't being specifically aggressive. There was always, and the gimmick that we'll talk about there really filtered into the matches. I'm going to fight you, we're always going to have a fight. He never backed down, he never really ran away, unless it was, I'm going to fight you later. So I think the stories were always there.
Yeah.
He had storylines, but I wouldn't say there was many like upper storylines. Like the stuff with Gibbles, and he got involved with McMahon and all that lot. But
I always feel like he's quite creative in using the ring. You referred to the
yes,
apron earlier.
I love that.
As a heel, especially, he would use the ropes or the ring post. He'd do something quite creative and clever to get an advantage without being
so
too cowardly.
Smart. He thought about what can I do? What can I? I think a great wrestler is someone who goes, oh, I've got a new gimmicky thing, or I've got a new match stipulation. What can we do with it? What can we do? And you realise a brand new match type. Like, let's take the Punjabi prison match, for example. As much as it's a terrible match, Undertaker and Big Show pretty much did everything. You're like, yeah, we've done everything. Outside of getting a flippy person in to maybe do some climbing and jumping off stuff. And you're like, yeah, we've done everything. Try and do two other matches and do some new. Finlay, I reckon, could have come up with something. I reckon he's that clever.
Yeah.
And I want to give him props. I think his storytelling is actually very, very good. For someone who never really main evented WCW or WWE, really. So,
Not really.
Yeah. The promo skills, their ability to cut a promo. Sam?
Yeah, I've gone 5.
I've gone lower.
Have you?
I've gone 3.
Have you?
Yeah, I do you know who I'm comparing him to?
Go on.
Brett. I gave Brett a 3 because I think Brett's one of the worst promos in the history of wrestling, especially for someone who is an over main eventer. He cannot talk. And I think Finlay's kind of the same. His talking was very generic. He always had to be around someone who could talk. You think Booker T with King Booker and Regal even. He was in that group, a really good over group, but he was the third one. He was the heater, really. It's very weird to have a 220-pound man be your heater, but he was the aggressive thing. Every time he talked, I didn't care. He very rarely talked in WCW. It was just about going out there and hurting people, and I think that's kind of where it was in WWE. Like, I don't think he did much talking, and I don't think it was any good.
No, I don't think he was any good. Maybe 5's generous.
It might not be. I might be harsh with 3, but I just went, if I'm going to give Brett a 3, then I think Finlay is the same ballpark.
So I feel like what I'm about to say is quite mean, but I think it's true. And I like Finlay, but at the same time, when you're in school and you've got your next lesson, I've got this teacher, so boring. I have the same when you mention, we're going to watch a Finlay promo, I go, okay. And that's not good.
At the end of the day, they had to put Hornswoggle with him for the same, to not make him boring. The minute you have to be put with a comedy character to make you less boring, and you got to remember at first, Hornswoggle wasn't a comedy character, but people laughed anyway. Sorry, Finlay. We really do. Actually,
please don't
really like
us.
you. We really respect you. We move on to the look. It's not getting any more respectful. Sam?
You know what? I'm going 6. He's got a singlet and it's like...
He's got a singlet.
He's wearing something.
He's wearing clothes.
We don't want nudity. I think that at least is a decent look because I think it works in terms of him just being a wrestler. It's more like just a traditional wrestler's outfit. I'm clutching here. It was green.
I'm so sorry, Finlay. I've given you 4. Yeah. And do you know what? If he didn't carry around a shillelagh with him, I'd have given him 3.
That puts him up.
Let's make a few things clear. He's in WWE, so he has to wear green because he's Irish. I hope it was his choice, but then again, he wore a lot of green in WCW. There's a reason my look drops down. And I know we talk about it at best, but we have to have the negative. Sam, you need to see him in WCW. Big tash, huge mullet. And you go, it's the style of the time. You go, not in 1996 it wasn't.
But then you can have someone who's a bit different and a bit of a throwback.
No, it wasn't a throwback. It looked rough. I really like Finlay, but at the end of the day, when he came to WWE particularly, I'm glad he got back in the ring. I'm glad he got given the opportunity by Vince because clearly he'd been working there for a while and training. And I don't know if he just went, do you know what, Vince, I really fancy getting back in the ring. Or maybe someone watching went, Finlay, you still got a few years. And he did. He definitely had a good run. I'm not going to take that away from me. He had a good run. But he don't look great. He looks like an old man going out to wrestle. He looked like an older bloke. Which if they kind of played into going, I'm grizzled, I've got here because of fighting on camera. But outside of saying I like to fight, I don't think they kind of played the look into it, really.
No, I'd agree.
No. I'd agree. So, sorry, fit. 4. We move on to their entrance. My name is Finlay, and I love to fight. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic start. He then just walks to the ring.
Yeah.
You know my rules. Do something. Don't just walk to the ring.
And I get that he's a no-nonsense character and it's simple.
But why couldn't he jaw jack with the audience? Put a shillelagh to someone's face and go, aggressive.
So Bret Hart was a bit more of a no-nonsense, but he had this, he had stuff...
Sunglasses with the audience and kids and stuff like that.
He does nothing. And the theme after that. Great opening, and you need a
Again,
great opening.
Irish.
The theme, well, it's not even... Even if it's an Irish thing, it doesn't play into... It's not interesting. Becky Lynch is a bit more Irish, but it's a good theme.
It gets worse. Well, Becky Lynch had the Irish diddle as well when she went to NXT.
Oh, I'm not about that.
It gets worse. He then adopts Hornswoggle's theme song later.
Even though it's very Irish, it's still better.
Because I actually had Finlay's entrance originally at a 6, because I actually liked the fact that he had an opening thing. Everyone know who you are, and I like that. And the no-nonsense thing I kind of allowed. But then the fact that he took over Hornswoggles and they kind of little jaunty run to the ring.
He was so the opposite of that entrance.
It didn't work. I've given him a 5. I think it's a bog standard in the middle. It's not bad. It's not terrible. You knew who it was. You could get a pop out of it because you went, oh, it's Finlay. So I've gone 5 for entrance.
Oh yeah, well you have the pop, and then you're just like
it goes quiet. It goes quiet.
Wait for him to get to the ring. And then the next person is going to come out who's more interesting usually. Yeah. 4.
It was a great entrance if you were having multiple people turn up. You know, you do the pop, and then he goes, and then the next person
turns up. Money in the Bank.
That worked then. I got a big pop. WrestleMania 22. Huge pop. I've gone 5. What have you gone for, Sam?
4.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Finlay. I actually liked your run. Their work as a heel are bad, guys. Sam, what have you gone with?
Okay, I've gone for a 6.
I've gone 7. I've gone 7.
Got some points on the board.
He's a really good heel. He's a really good heel.
He is a good heel.
Oh my god, this is Eurovision. Nil point.
No, this is where Barrett gets 0.
Oh my god, it's European League. Of course he's going to get no points. Oh god. Can I go 7? I actually think he's a really good heel because people booed him. People didn't like him. They really hated it. Every time they used the shillelagh, it actually got over that shillelagh, and they protected the shillelagh move so much. And you can't put that into wrestling or storytelling. You put a little bit of storytelling, but I'm putting it here into heel work because every time you hit it with shillelagh, it was over. It was such a deadly weapon.
Yeah,
they got that move over. His heel work was actually very, very good. What drops him into the 7, as we talked about, is his promo. If he could cut a very good heel promo, I actually would put him really high as a heel. I actually think he's naturally a heel. The aggressive, I think someone who fights is a heel. Like, and I mean, I'm going to fight you. There's no cowardly about it. But then when he does go, no, I'm not fighting you, you go, but you're the fighting. Worked really well for me.
Yeah.
That opening, I'm going to go 18 months with the King Booker. Again, association, not really a tag team. It's a group, so it doesn't count in the tag team section. We can talk about it because he was on his own for most of it. I actually thought he worked really well in that group. He played his role as the heel really well. And I think Finlay is an excellent heel. I'll give him 7. If he could cut the promo, he would have been 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think psychology-wise, he is a fantastic heel. He's in ring stuff, everything. I'd echo what you said. I think, weirdly, he suffered from a problem of, I think they pushed him too high up early on. He was in main events with Batista.
Armageddon 2006, he was in the main event and he debuted that year.
Yeah, against Batista, I'm going...
Or just after 2005.
He was never a credible heel foil for me for Batista, because Batista is just... Not only is he bigger, but he's just so much more of a star than Finlay. You never really believed that Finlay would get much over on Batista. I think they put him too high, and I just thought, you're not really a heel for Batista to overcome. You know what I mean?
No.
So I went with 6.
Yeah. What are they like as a face, them as a good guy? Sam?
3.
I've gone 5.
Okay.
For Finlay with it, because as much as I understand your 3, I generally think people did cheer him. They put him against people that worked, such as Vince and JBL and stuff like that. And people did actually cheer, and they give him a jaunty of music and the Hornswoggle, and they cheered with Hornswoggle. It was a bit of association. And they changed his moveset up, but it killed his run immediately. So I couldn't go any higher. I could understand 3 and 4, and I did initially have 4, but I went, you know what? I generally think he's so clever that he still made it work as a babyface with a shelf life.
Yeah.
And I think that was the key. It had a shelf life. I think the fact that he had a prominent match at a WrestleMania in a singles, which already shows you must have done something right, that was over. It was a big enough match that it opened the show.
Yeah. And
a big enough storyline with the whole Vince with his illegitimate children and all that jazz. And Hornswoggle got over with it as well, initially. It worked.
Yeah.
And Finlay was a big part of that. So I generally think that Finlay, and he did okay in ECW.
Yeah,
He did okay
Yeah, I
in
liked
ECW. He was okay as a babyface there.
It was the right place for him, and that's
It
not
was.
even a drug.
No,
ECW. I probably will do something in a video about WWE ECW. And
Yeah, we
was
will.
quite unfairly treated.
We'll do a discussion on it. We'll do.
But I think that WrestleMania match, I went with the 3 because because I think that match was about getting Hornswoggle on the card because he's really over and had a very big story. And JBL, don't get me wrong, was someone who you'd want on the card as well. But I think they were like, we want to show
it's already returned. This is on his return run.
I think it's big enough.
He retires the year after.
I know, but I think that was more about getting Hornswoggle a story. And I think when you have to have Hornswoggle with him to make the babyface thing work,
you got to remember
people didn't exactly love Hornswoggle.
He was been taken out. He got taken out in the cage match, I think, didn't he? Hornswoggle. He wasn't on the Raw preceding it, and then returned at that Mania actually, and that got even a bigger pop.
Yeah,
so Finlay got an association pop, like a here's some pop for you,
which is fine. We like sharing the love, but I think
is he really a 3 face though in the entirety of his career? Is he really?
I can't judge the entirety. I can only judge what I've seen, and I just go. It's hard for me because I was a kid, so I just liked Finlay because he was a good guy. I didn't think anything of it.
Well, you didn't change your opinion when you mocked Santino.
Because I've realised with age, I've grown. He's aged like a fine wine.
Since about like 2 months ago.
He's aged like I prefer Santino now than genuinely back then. He annoyed me when I was a kid.
Okay.
I can bump it up to a 4.
Fair. I think that's fairer, I think. We move on to their gimmick or personalities. Do they like as a person or do they have a gimmick? I'm probably going to be more focusing on gimmick than personality. Sam, what have you gone with?
I've gone with a 5. Because... Harsh, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
I just go overall, it's very simple and straightforward. And I like the idea that if you just pitched it to me, the idea of it is good. You get it similar to the bar. It just didn't have any depth or there wasn't a lot you could do with it.
Do you know what? I agree with you, which is why I don't think you can go to upper echelon with it. I've given it a 7, personally. Ooh. Yeah, because if literally a gimmick can get you over or well-known or pushed immediately, it's done its job. And literally, his opening crawl was, "My name is Finlay and I love to fight." That's all you need, because that's all he is. He couldn't put any bells and whistles on it. So when you're saying there's no much depth, what more depth could you done to Finlay without going into a really dull gimmick of a brawler or a bruiser or someone who's a really good technical wrestler? They went, "I like to fight. He brings a shillelagh. He beats you up. He hurts you. He hits you hard. He lived the gimmick in the ring." I just think that worked really well. It got him over, so much so that you're right, he got pushed into main events and the very solid mid-card. He never dropped out of that mid-card. He was there that solid 3-year run, as well as, his WCW, everyone knew he was the brawler that he was going to be up. I genuinely think that if you're looking at gimmick, is it upper echelon gimmick? No. But if you went, does this gimmick work and get this person over? I'm going with a 7, even though I know I am like, if 7 was like a ledge, I'm not like, on the other side going, this is a nice ledge. I am like...
You are Mufasa.
I'm like here. Like, King Booker, keep me here, please.
Long live the king, Shucky Ducky.
Oh, that works so well.
Wow,
look at that. Don't even write stuff.
Pushes you off and then does a spinneroonie.
Via the spinneroonie. Kicks your legs.
Just creates a gust of wind that pushes you off.
Over and draws, how over they were with the crowd, how much money did they bring in general, Sam? Over and a draw.
I've gone with 5 because, he got a bit of a pop, but again, when you put him in those main events, Batista are going to do very well.
Can we talk about Armageddon 2006? I think my brain's telling me that's the only main event pay-per-view he did.
I think he did a tag team match with Booker T and
that's it. Armageddon 2006. I don't think he was in a...
Oh, so Armageddon wasn't a singles match with Batista? Right.
No, it was Raw's John Cena.
Yeah, it's weird.
With SmackDown's Batista versus King Booker. I still generally have no memory why Cena's involved because it was hard brand split. Can we talk about this pay-per-view briefly? On this same pay-per-view, you've got an Inferno match. Kane and MVP. Right. You've got a Last Rites match with Undertaker and Mr. Kennedy. And you've got a 4-way ladder match. And this tag team match, not for the titles, at least make the titles on the line. Winner takes all or something. You know they're not going to win, but you knew they were not going to win anyway. At least, bells and whistles it a little bit. So the only main event Finlay was in a tag team against 2 monster megastars. King Booker's gimmick is now going downhill. He's lost the world title. He has he does these best of things with Benoit, keeps it just ticking over a little bit, but it's...
And he goes into boogeyman stuff.
Yeah, so it's over at this point. He's not main eventing,
not over
really.
in a good way.
Yeah, and this is the main event, and Finlay really is the one of you doesn't belong, one of you is not the same, and it is Finlay. Because at least you can go, Booker T's Booker T, you can slot Booker T into a main event, or even a world title run, and you'd go, yep, absolutely. Finlay, I'd rather have Regal in that position, but Regal had already gone off with Dave Taylor, he'd already split.
Yeah.
And so for me, Finlay, is he over, is he drop? I've gone with a 4.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think he had that initial run, little shine, everyone liked him, he beat Rey Mysterio when he was world champion.
Absolutely.
But he didn't bring in any money, and no one really massively was cheering him. I think everyone was just like, okay, Finlay, we know it's going to be fine. We know it's good. We've got safe hands. But I don't think anyone was like, yes, Finlay.
And I feel really bad for saying this, but you go, yeah, it'll be fine. But also, he could go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And that is a horrible thing to say.
Yeah.
And God, he'd kill me. And he's a fantastic
I'm just going to
wrestler.
throw it out there that I'm pretty certain if me and you grew up in the 80s or even WCW 90s, I reckon our score would be completely different, I feel.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm being really harsh and I feel bad saying it, but it's just how I feel.
It's about overall, and he's a very solid wrestler. Does story time and storytelling, and he's got a decent gimmick.
And he gave us one of the best pops in the women's division history by doing this.
Oh, maybe 10 over.
Exactly.
Via Becky Lynch. Why did he have the power? This man is not on telly. This man is not on telly. He's not a personality at the moment. He is a backstage producer. Why did he?
He had the endowment of the Irish charm that gave Becky.
Do you reckon Vince is backstage going, who told you to do that? Who told you? Becky wins, and they go, that's why Vince had to do the gimmick of taking Becky out and putting Charlotte in. It's not fair, no. Yeah. in shoot, it was actually Charlotte, and he's
Lana
furious.
was supposed to soldier on and go on. Lana was Lana's whole story.
She was the runner-up.
She should have had the Dolph Ziggler story. It should have been me.
It needs to be shot as a horse after the Grand National fall. Becky comes out. Yeah. I
was going to get up. I was just selling. She was just selling on her entrance. Oh, Finlay.
You always end on a finish. We're going to end on a finisher, which is called the Celtic Cross, wasn't it? No, not the Celtic Cross. Oh God, I forgot its name.
No, I know what you mean.
It's white noise.
It might be, no, they go like Celtic Cross.
It's white noise. It's white noise.
Yeah.
It's white noise is the move.
But sometimes it's a little roly poly as well.
Yeah, but I've completely forgotten what the name of his move is. It's just unbelievably bad.
I would
have
known this as a kid.
Yeah. Anyway, I've given it a 6.
Yeah, same.
I actually like the move. I know I hadn't seen it before, and actually, do you know what? This is weird. This is weird for you. This move sticks in my brain. This might be Beyond the Mat, the documentary Beyond the Mat, and they obviously looked at some new wrestlers, and they had their, they got audition for Vince, as it were, and they did a dark match. And he did that as his finishing move, and they went, oh, we've never seen that before. That's interesting. And they're going, this is all fake, clearly. This is not how they sit down and analyse a talent. But I was like, oh, they hadn't. And then Finlay started using that move, and I don't think he was using it in WCW. Please quote me if I wasn't wrong. But I have always liked the move, and I'm glad that Sheamus took it. I actually like it. I think it's a really good secondary move, hence why I think 6. Because I don't look at it and go 7, 8, 9, and 10. But I think it's a cool looking move. I think it worked for Finlay.
It looks effective. It doesn't require too much setup, and it's impactful. You can't do it on everyone, but I think it's solid. It's just good.
And do you know what? I'm going to throw in an extra one. If William Regal gets power of the punch, then I think shot with the Soleil should also be included as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm giving it also a solid 6, because I think that also ended more matches than
true.
than
but then
white
how
noise.
good is just hitting someone with a weapon?
Do you know what? When it's a protected weapon.
No, I get it. But
leave Finlay alone.
I'm so harsh.
So we're going to look at the overall score. Sam, what did you give Finlay as an overall score?
I gave him 56.
I've given him 55, so, pretty much on the same. So that gives him an overall score of 111, but before we put him onto our leaderboard, it actually puts him level on scores with Jim Duggan, which I think is very interesting. Very era-specific wrestlers.
Two
there.
Weirdly similar and weirdly incredibly different wrestlers
No,
at the same time.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
I think we'd probably agree that we would put Finlay above. For wrestling ability.
Yeah, Finlay's better.
Wrestling ability, I think, is where we would probably go, yeah. Bigger over with the crowd, you'd go Duggan. And that's a big deal, because that's what wrestling is all about. But, at the end of the day, then have to watch a Duggan match.
Much rather watch
even if Finlay
match.
is, I would say, is not as exciting or interesting. I would say it's better than a Duggan match.
Way better.
So that gives him an overall score of 111. So let's see where that goes. So first of all, we'll look at the mid card. He's a United States champion at the end of the day. And he goes into 5th place on our mid card. Santino Marella still in top spot on the mid card.
Deservedly so. Long may he reign.
God. But it then goes into our overall leaderboard and he slots into 9th place, does our Finlay. So, thank you for joining us on our power rankings. Please don't show this to Fit Finlay. I feel that this is a massive insult and I actually feel really guilty and a little bit scared.
Yeah, same actually. I will be looking over my shoulder
at all times.
For Finlay. I mean, I think we all should.
Yes, we should, generally.
Yeah.
And then give him a hug.
Yeah.
And then go, thank you for everything you've done. You are a wonderful human being who has trained some of the best wrestlers, particularly female, of all time, and made some of the females who could not wrestle very presentable, which is actually probably a bigger achievement. So, generally, thank you for everything.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he will be.
And I think a lot of that should be for his producer work.
It's unbelievable, yeah. I wish we could give him a score for his producer work because it is fantastic. Yeah. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. What do you think about Finlay? How would you have ranked him? Would you have made it any different? Please put it in the comment below, and we shall see you next time. My name is Sam, and I'm terrified of Finlay now.
Yeah.